attempted to use it for commercial purposes,
So if you were
devalue
looking
it.
for something, you'd have to crawl in reverse to,
Say again?
if you were looking for some specific thing back there, you'd have to crawl in reverse then to...
Oh, well, no. The Wayback Machine, the way it works is you type a URL in, say www.netscape.com, and it'll bring up a web page that basically gives all previous versions of the website, links to all the previous versions.
That particular
Of that
URL.
particular website, right. And later on I'll talk about a search engine that you can actually use keywords to search.
And that actually only gets you to like homepage on those websites. You don't.
No, you can actually go deep in. You can actually go
Okay,
deep,
well-
but it will give you the front level, and Alexa experimented with different depths and different types of media it archives, so it really kind of depends. We're actually developing an open source web crawler ourselves because, heck, a few years from now, maybe Alexa go in a different direction, so we're going to start crawling our own data soon enough. So let's talk about text. There's about 60 million books in the public domain in U.S. libraries, but hardly any of them are digitized. And these books, as you can see, are literally falling apart, and they're disappearing. So the technology we're developing, we're trying to get 100,000 books online by the end of the year, at least have the infrastructure to be able to do that. And we're doing that through two different ways. One is a bookmobile project, which you may have heard about, maybe not. I'll talk a little later about it, but basically it's, how do you cram hundreds of thousands of books into a car with a bookbinder, a printer, and a satellite internet connection. It's basically a library on wheels. The other one is the International Children's Digital Library, which is a project where we actually take full scans of books from different cultures around the world. They're children's books, and put them up online as well. Now, the toughest thing with text, this is the hardest problem with text, is the copyright issues. It's amazing. So Brewster spends a lot of time working with legislative bodies, Congress, Senate, those sorts of people that there's a lot of orphan books that it's unclear whether they're in public domain. No one really owns the books anymore. They're in libraries, and you can't find the publishers anymore because publishing companies don't exist anymore. So there's these books, and it's like, well, if you copy them, librarians won't let us copy them because they're not sure what the right thing to do. I mean, it's a mess. It is not cut and dry. It's extremely complicated. So this is the hardest part of books. One neat thing about this is India is actually really caught on to this. We just got 8,000 books from India, and big bag of suitcase full of disk drives. Actually, they digitize all the books. They have rooms full of scanners, and Indians are just digitizing away lots and lots and lots of books in India because they think this is a great idea. They're also looking at starting an open source textbook initiative. You think about it, K through 12 textbooks cost a fortune.
Well, we had something like that. It was Project Gutenberg.
Still alive and well.
Okay.
India is working specifically, well, right now they're probably going to do college textbooks at this point.
All right.
And then start with K through 12. Of course, it's Indian curriculum. But we're moving towards that area. And the idea is perhaps that we can, people like Reed Elsevier don't like this much because they're making a lot of money selling textbooks. But so text is a really interesting area for archiving.
Can we chase one of your? I think this is a really key point. And in fact, I've driven some of the presentations this way. But it appears to me that technology has really changed. The old way of doing things with the monks at the stools, that doesn't go anymore.
No, not really.
And so, a lot of copyright law was written with that thought of technology in place, and you could own something, but with the ability to replicate things. Just talk to the RIAA. With the ability to replicate things very quickly, what's really happened is we've gone through a technology change here, but everyone's trying to run the old business model.
Well, it's very, very complex. There's a lot to it. One thing is that's interesting to note is the copyright laws keep getting, the length of copyright terms continue to grow.
That's right.
It was 10 years, and then now it's what, 50, 70 years, like 70 years, I think.
Lifetime.
So they continue to grow. A lot of people blame this on good old Mickey Mouse, Disney Corporation, because they, I don't know how valid that is, but a lot of people believe that it really comes down to Disney Corporation pushing for, because they don't want to lose, their ability to.
It always comes down to money.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure. But it's, there's 16 million public domain books, which are free and clear, which, that's a lot of books to go through.
Okay.
So there's a lot of books that still need to be digitized.
But you're saying you're having trouble getting
Well,
those
it's just a
because
lot.
of-
I mean, you do the math. How long does it take to digitize a book? An
But
hour.
you don't have any sort of copyright issues on those books.
No. It's just tough to get a hold of them.
All right.
And to figure out which ones are real. You have to be able to prove they're public domain. And it's really hard to do that sometimes.
Right.
And that's not a technical problem. Technical problems are usually, they're easy to solve. It's the non-technical ones that are very, very complicated. Audio. So there's about 3 million performances commercially released, we believe. There's the things that we archive that aren't the Britney Spears type performances. We're mostly interested in sort of the stuff most people don't care about, right? Old random performances that we're not going to get sued over. eTree.org, I don't know if anyone's familiar with eTree. So there's a lot of folks out there that they're just the rocker bands, the garage bands. And they're out there, they're making their music, and they want the world to hear it. So they upload it to eTree.org. We host an incredible amount of content for eTree.org. And there are these very zealous audio people that don't believe in lossy compression. So we have all these huge audio files. We have to save every last bit, and we just help them out. So this is wildly successful as far as popularity goes for the archive. We also have open source audio, which is something we recently did, which is kind of weird. Whatever sound you want to record, you go do that, and you can upload it, and we'll save it for you. So people have uploaded a lot of weird stuff, but the idea is it's just it's human knowledge. We're recording human knowledge, and that includes the audio portion of it. So moving images. There's about 100,000 theatrical releases that have been released in the world, and actually it turns out most of them are from India. India produces the most theater as far as movies goes, more than anyone else in the world. And there's 2 million total films, because a lot of those aren't released in the theaters. So the question is, where are they? Well, they're probably rotting somewhere, most of them. We only have about 2,000 of them, so we're working on it. But they're pre-1964, again, because of the copyright issues. Most of the ones we have are like, are you ready for marriage? Type, or like, how to be a gentleman on a date. Kind of these kind of old propaganda. One of the most popular ones is what is it? The little turtle talking about nuclear war. What's it called?
We're trying to Second World
Duck
War.
and cover. Duck
Yeah,
and cover.
Duck and cover.
Some of your older folks might remember Duck and Cover. And little turtle saying, "Watch out! If there's an atomic bomb that blows up near your school, be sure to duck and cover." And it's deadly serious, and it's a frightening video. It's very popular on our website, so it's downloaded quite a bit. So all these we have archived them, and so it's a lot of fun because this stuff is it's disappearing, and it's part of our heritage. And so we have a lot of different kind of collections that we have archived. Software. So this is sort of interesting. We have 10,000 CD-ROMs that are in boxes, cardboard boxes stacked up, because it's illegal to copy them. So we just have them there, and we're trying to figure out how to archive them. And these are some of the things we have. We have like Microsoft Basic. We have MS-DOS, the original MS-DOS. We have Tetris, the original Tetris. We have tons and tons. Stanford has 19,000 software titles. And again, they're just sitting in boxes, because right now it is against the law to make copies of them. And so this is abandonware. No one really knows it, because the companies won't support it anymore, but they won't let you. You still can't copy them. so that it's sort of in limbo. Again, it's one of those tough situations where it's like, this stuff will be gone if we don't save it. Because not only are the bits rotting on the media, and believe me, bit rot is a very real thing if you're not aware of that. Even on brand new hard disks, if you get enough of them, you'll get bit rot. It's a funny thing. And the way to access the data is also disappearing. Like, when's the last time you tried to take one of those big fat 5 1/4 floppies? And I mean, how do you read one of those now?
Yeah.
You just, good luck. So we have a bunch of old machines in this room at the archive in the Presidio. By the way, if you haven't been to the archive, every Friday at noon we have open to the public lunches, and we usually have about 30 people, maybe sometimes 40 people there. And we just go around the room, introduce each other, and have discussions about really cool stuff. And it's right there in Presidio. It's very beautiful. So you're more than welcome to attend. But there's a room there called Rip City, which is filled with all these archaic machines that we just, the stuff that we can copy gets copied there, but most of it we can't. And we just have a lot of old machines that let us do this. But it's a funny situation. And there's not any real solution to this at this point in time. So there's a lot of other projects going on at the Internet Archive. There's the television archive. So we have about 700 terabytes of offline disk and tape. So these are disks that are like unplugged. And they're sitting in a basement. It's about 2 years of TV from 20 different international news channels. What's most popular about the television archive, which we've, again, we're not sure what we can put online because we'll get sued, and it's really important at the archive to do things that are legal. We don't want to be a legal martyr. We actually want to make forward progress. We want to put pressure on the system, but we don't want to cross that line because we want to, do the right thing in the right sort of way. But the one thing that we have been allowed to do is put September 11th footage online from all these different news stations around the world. Because, well, we caught it, right? Because we're just archiving TV all the time. And so we have put that up. It's very interesting to see what Japan thought of September 11th right when it was happening. Or, what Al Jazeera thought was, so all this stuff's recorded so you can go look at it. And that's been an okay thing for us to do. But of course we have information for 2 years worth.
Did you get permission from all the news channels to do that?
No. I wasn't involved in putting that project up. I'm pretty confident there's no way we did that. Because that would take years and years and years to get all those lawyers to agree to it. So I think it's something we just did and just said, go ahead and sue us and let's see what the people think of that. So no one's going to do that. So that's why we felt like, this is a public service and we're going to put that out there. And it's interesting, libraries, actual real community libraries, it turns out there's no official way to become a library. You just kind of say, we're a library. Yeah. And you kind of act like a library and people treat you like a library. And right now you can go to a library and you can check out DVDs, you can check out music CDs, you can check out books, you can check out pretty much anything, and libraries don't get sued, right? You ever notice that there's no CD-ROM rental shops? Isn't that weird? Okay, you can rent DVDs, but there are no rental shops for CDs. Why is that? Well, because as soon as someone tried that, RA sued the heck out of them and said, no, people are just renting them and copying them and returning them. And so they actually made a law that you can't do that. But libraries can do it, right? Because libraries aren't renting it. You're borrowing it. Very, very subtle distinction, but that's the case. So back to the September 11th stuff. The archive is a library. We're a library, and so we do things that libraries do. And so if a library does it,